Are you a comic book quality snob? I must confess that I am. And let's talk about what that means as both graded and raw books up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Welcome, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on the other socials, Bronzeville_Comics on Instagram, Bronzeville_Comics on Whatnot, where we do shows every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. There is a link in the description. If you're not sent on to Whatnot, you can use that link at $10 off your first purchase. It doesn't have to be with me. And also in the description of this video is a link to my eBay store as well as my email. So I kind of realized as I was looking, when I look at books at shows and when I look at books online, that I'm a bit of a quality snob. And what does that mean? I mean, everybody has a comfort level with the grades of their books and what they chase. For me, modern books, and I'm talking about books essentially from 1980 forward, I'm really chasing 9.8s. And most of those, I'm trying to get them graded myself. There are only a few books that I have purchased, already slabbed at a 9.8. And that's just because the price was good, I felt. And I didn't want to hunt it down. Sometimes I'll do it for more modern variants when the market cools, of just books that I'm specifically interested in. But if you go back to books from the 90s, the 80s even, I'm looking for 9.8 candidates. And since I was old enough by the time the 80s rolled around to start to take care of my books better, my collection is very emblematic of most single-owner collections. You look at the age of the collector when they are a little kid, let's say elementary school age, the books are beat up because you didn't know how to handle them. You know, you just take a book and you're like, you know, you throw it and you wrap it around, all that good stuff. I just hope that noise doesn't bother anybody. No ASMR on this video, let's hope. Sometimes I put tape on it, and I put on the bad Scotch tape, like the yellow Scotch tape. Sometimes you put tape on it, and but as the books move forward year by year, you can see that I took better care of the books. I probably read them less often because I had more books to choose from. And by the time I got to the 1980s, I was going to a local comic store. I was, if not boarding, I was bagging the books and putting them away. And actually, my cousin and I would trade books all the time. And I remember one time going over his house, and he goes, "Oh, when I read the comics now, I read them like this. I only touch the interiors. I don't touch the covers anymore." And this is like 40 some odd years ago. He was a man ahead of his time. Now, generally speaking, when I read a book, I'll place it on something flat. I might even have like just the backer bag and board underneath it on my lap if I'm reading it on the couch or something. And I try to be careful about it. And I was more or less careful and putting books away about the time I was in middle school, and certainly by the time I was in high school, because by then I was going to shows. I'm looking at these books. Oh, this is how people took care of their books. And you see that a lot of times if you buy collections and it was from somebody who collected comics over a period of time. When they were young, they're beat up. As they get older, they're protected. And as they get close to the point where they stop collecting, they didn't even read the books anymore. So most of my books in my personal collection from 1980 forward are in pretty good shape. And I've said on this channel before, I've only got one of them slabbed. There's only one book I've gotten slabbed, of which I was the original owner of, and that is Batman Adventures 12, and it did come back in 9.8. So now there are people who chase 9.8s. Mint Hunter, for instance, especially if a certain title. And it's fairly easy. Like if you want Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars or Crisis on Infinite Earths or Watchmen, or some mini series in a 9.8 run, that's reasonable to do. But there are some folks who chase much higher value books, and oftentimes those are the people who like to flex on the CGC registry. The CGC registry is for a particular collection, particular title. It might be every issue of the book. It might be a run. Let's say Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 100, where people compete to have the nicest collection. They get bonus points for signature series, and obviously they get they're I don't know exactly how it works, but they have points assigned for the books in grade. I think keys get bigger value, and special things like Mark Jewelers, signatures, etc. I'm actually number 2 on the registry of leading comics 1 through 14. That's because there's only one other person on the CGC registry. I only have 2 of the 14 books graded, although that may change in the future. Now, as books get older and as they get more expensive, it's hard to maintain that 9.8 level. It's hard to get books from the 70s, exceedingly hard to get books from the 60s, almost impossible from the 50s or 40s in 9.8s. Some books don't even exist in that high a grade. Now, there are folks that chase the highest grade, but you have to have fairly deep pockets. And if you're not, a very wealthy collector, even if you have your own book graded that you bought raw, and a big book that comes back in 9.8, might be hard to hold on to that for the value of the book versus what other books you can get for it. It depends on how closely you feel about the book. But some people like to collect books. Otto from 3 Men in the Basement uses the phrase linear. I don't know if he invented that, but other people have used it where you have the same grade across a series of books. I know if you watch DJ Lynx, I forget the grade. Was it a 4.0? He got his Hulks 1 through 6 all in the same grade. And so that kind of anal, obsessive, compulsive part of collecting it does give collectors satisfaction. However you want to collect, that's fine. But there is something pleasing to collecting higher grade books. Now, I want to spend actually more time talking about non-slabs, about raw books. Now, there are folks who are never slabbers. If you're familiar with Billy Mumy, the actor who played Will Robinson in the 1960s TV series Lost in Space, he's on Facebook on a group I'm in, and he is a never slabber, and he posts Bill's Book of the Day, and he has the most gorgeous books you've ever seen. He posted a Detective Comics 27 last week that was absolutely stunning. I'm assuming those residual checks have done well for him over the years. But what about books that aren't keys, that are more readily available? So if you watch this channel, I talk about my DC 1972 collection. I'm trying to collect every DC book from 1972. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to get those books graded, other than the keys. But I am looking for nicer copies. I'm looking for probably 7 O's or better, if I can find them. And sometimes, and it's kind of the fun of the collecting and the hunting is, even if I go to a show and I see a book that might be an upgrade over something that I already have, I can buy that and then sell the lower grade book. So I use my CLZ app on my phone to see, I put my grading of a raw book into my database, and I can see, well, this looks like an 8.0. What I said I have in there is a 6.5. Maybe I'll get the 8.0, or if I come across collections, an upgrade. And I do find satisfaction and pleasure as part of my collecting in finding nice presenting copies. I will be more forgiving of flaws on the back cover, but I do like the front cover to have nice colors, to be free of stains, of harsh creases, of tears. Now, one can, as you get older, older books, one can accept more flaws because of the supply and demand of those high-grade books. But, for run fillers, I still like to have nice presenting, high-grade copies. And I always joke when somebody says that they're finished with a run, I'm like, time to upgrade. Because upgrading is when you start to, let's say you're collecting 1 through 100 of Amazing Spider-Man, and you find a better copy of issue number 70, maybe you swap it out. And sometimes you can actually, if you do have a platform to sell, even if you're selling occasionally on eBay, you might be able to sell the lower grade book, as long as it's not a substantial difference, for maybe about as much money as you bought the higher grade book for. And so that's upgrading is a big aspect of it. It is easier to get run books in high grade when you can find them. And I will still dig through bins of runs that I have collected and am nearly finished collecting just to look for high grade books that I don't have an intention of slabbing. And there are folks and there are certain things, even for high value keys, what do you avoid? Are you willing to accept everything? Now, Golden Age books, I am collecting May of 1946. I'm trying to get at least nice presenting copies. I will accept certain flaws if other things are there. I don't want detached covers. I don't want pieces missing, especially from the front cover. I can accept maybe some small pieces missing from the back cover. I want the spine to be more or less intact. I don't want the pages to be brittle. And sometimes I will pass on books because of that. So I do have my 1946 collection, for the most part, is in good shape. I do have an All-Star Comics that is in pretty rough shape that I bought about 25 years ago, just because when eBay was first starting, I saw it on eBay. I'm like, ooh, I'll take that. And then I realized I was making very little money because I was new at my job, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could afford that. But for me, that's part of the pleasure, is having good copies. Now, there are people that aren't concerned. And even if we talk about graded books, especially if they're books in their personal collection, specifically their childhood, they might grade those books anyway, just to have that as a memory of a book that they have from their childhood. And when you have specific memories of how you acquired the book and who you were with and what experience you had, that trumps the value, the fair market value of the book, the value to you. And you will see books, this is more likely the case though, you will see books on eBay that had no business being graded, that are, because of the condition of the book and or the significance of the book, made no sense. And everyone who does submit kind of has a threshold, for the most part, of what they think the book should be worth before they get it slabbed, before they decide to get it slabbed. One of the things that I will say this as an aside, I do like about slabbing is the cleaning and pressing. And I do that myself, inherently improves the condition of the book. And sometimes a personal collection book, I'll be like, I want that to look a little bit nicer. It has a couple of pressable defects. Let me get that out and, get it in crisper shape, just to go in a short box in my collection. So let me know what you think about what you have. I mean, some people, especially for older books, and I have had this thought, like if there's, let's say All-Star Comics. All-Star Comics is a run that there's no shortage of collectors that are trying to work on that run. I don't think there are many that have completed it, but there are people that work on it. Now, there are 57 issues, all from the Golden Age, all expensive, some exceedingly expensive. But let's talk about just the run books. You're willing to accept a low-grade book? an incomplete book, a coverless with a facsimile cover. It depends on what your collecting budget and what you want to have in your collection. I do, and the Paul from Liberty Hill Comics uses the phrase "well bought." I want to be well bought in my collection. I want my collection to have clear liquid value. So if at some point I'm no longer here, my wife, kids want to sell it, they could just put them all up on eBay and people will know what the condition is and they'll get a reasonable fair market value for those books. Again, I like to have nice books in my collection. I will accept, what do we call it? Entry-level copies. Even for, I'm talking about right now of raw books, I will accept entry-level copies, but sometimes you look to upgrade. And sometimes I can upgrade via a collection. And that is a little bit fun. I just got a Defenders collection in, went to my original run, found 2 books that were upgrades out of the entire run, swapped them out. Sold the books that I had in my collection and replaced them with better quality copies. And for the most part, that run, the books are in nicer shape. I do have some that maybe I could upgrade. It's not a priority for me right now. I'm kind of working on some of the low-grade Batmans that I have from the Silver and Bronze era. And, you know, that's the thrill of the hunt. Because as you collect more and you have more already collected on your checklist, you kind of have to go in different directions. Either, you know, you go to Golden Age, you go to pre-code horror, people go to pulps, bigger keys, older books, harder to find stuff, and upgrades. Let me know what kind of collector you are. Are you willing to accept lower grade copies? Or are you, like I, a bit of a quality snob when it comes to your comic books? I'd like to thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. You're going to take a look at a couple of my other videos here, and this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.